Good afternoon. It is Saturday, November 22nd, and just here with a quick update. So last night, as you likely have seen by now, whether you saw it here on my page or literally anywhere else because it's everywhere, Marjorie Taylor Greene has, effective January 5th, 2026, resigned her position in the U.S. House of Representatives. So what happens now? Well, there's a couple of steps that we're going to see happen. Because she is making the choice to leave midterm, Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp is going to have to call a special election to fill her seat. Now, under Georgia law, the governor must do this within 10 days of the vacancy itself. And then that special election is to include all candidates on one ballot. And if no one gets more than 50% of that vote, there will be a runoff between the top two folks on that ballot. And then whoever wins that special election will serve out the rest of Greene's current term, which lasts until January 3rd, 2027, or the end of the 119th Congress. Meanwhile, that seat will be empty from January 5th until an election is held and a new rep is sworn in. So what are the deeper implications here? Greene leaving on January 5th creates an immediate numerical problem for the House of Republicans. They're already operating with razor-thin margins and losing even one reliable yes, which, as Marjorie Taylor Greene stated in her resignation statement, she has been a constant and consistent, unquestioning yes on almost every piece of legislation that they and Trump have tried to push forward. So losing this reliable yes is going to force leadership into a constant scramble to get enough votes. A missing member isn't just an empty seat, it's a missing vote on every bill, every rule, every procedural motion, every committee vote. A few consequences then ripple out from that. So the Republicans will be weaker until that replacement is sworn in, and since special elections take time, that weakness can last for months or weeks. It hands Democrats more leverage, especially on tight votes where just one or two defections can block a GOP agenda. It also increases the power of individual Republican holdouts, who can now use that razor-thin majority to extract concessions because leadership needs every single remaining vote. So what we might see is a lot more back-rubbing happening in order to get those things passed. It is essentially going to magnify the chaos Greene herself was sometimes part of, even though she's no longer going to be a part of it. Her departure also punctures a particular ecosystem inside the House. She wasn't just a generic conservative. Like I said, she was a symbol of a certain flavor of Trump-aligned, media-forward, grievance-driven politics that has become so popular over the last 10 years. Losing her really weakens that faction's public presence. It does leave an open vacuum for the next Marjorie Taylor Greene's type to step out of that traditional MAGA movement. Lucky for us, right? And then also removes one of Trump's highest profile congressional loyalists, at least temporarily. And he has publicly praised her exit, but praise is not going to be able to replace a mechanical vote. And whether or not he's willing to admit it, he really needed Marjorie Taylor Greene as things progress forward. Now, whether her wing comes quieter or more chaotic in response is going to be an open question we're going to have to wait to see. I will be very curious if Marjorie Taylor Greene takes a little bit of time off and then reemerges as a candidate for this burgeoning America First party. She even used that America First language in her resignation speech. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene's district is solidly Republican, which means the real fight will likely be inside the GOP during this special election, because you're going to see state-level Republicans who want to restore a more traditional establishment voice and are going to use this opportunity to try to get back to business as normal in the pre-MAGA era, how they would have done things. You're going to see even farther right candidates trying to keep that seat ideologically aligned with Greene's brand, but then taking it even further as to say, Greene quit on you, but I won't. I'm going to take it all the way to the line. And I think you're going to see some local power players really testing how much influence Trump still has over that district's loyalty by really evaluating what these campaigns look like, what the endorsements look like, how they're run, etc. Now, Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp has not been exactly in sync with Trump like some other red governors, but he's going to have the responsibility of calling this special election. And even though it's just a procedural role, it puts Kemp and Trump-aligned candidates in the same political frame again, which could create some tension. Any governor of a red state, especially right now, is going to be under intense scrutiny. All of this is going to play out against the backdrop of Georgia's increasingly nationalized political climate. As we've seen over many election cycles, Georgia has become a hot button state for these very exact kind of issues. I don't think Democrats will win Georgia 14. It's extremely red and sometimes the worst kind of red, but Greene's exit still matters. Every day that seat is vacant gives Democrats a slightly stronger hand on votes. Special elections, as we've seen, can be entirely unpredictable, and if Republicans pick a nominee who's either scandal-prone or already unpopular, it really could shape that national messaging out of that election. And it gives Democrats a narrative opportunity. Even MAGA's most intense fighters are leaving Congress. Even MAGA's most intense representation is abandoning you and giving up on you because the stakes got too hard. What does this mean for Greene herself? Well, I think her resignation statement framed the exit as wanting to present herself as principled rather than defeated. But I think this decision reshapes her own political art. She intends to remain a political figure. I think that seems clear. Just she doesn't feel the path for her right now is in Congress. So this could go a couple of ways. It could become a more controlled personal media empire. We could see Marjorie Taylor Greene News Network, right? She could get a pundit spot on one of the many right-leaning media organizations, or just start her own massive Substack YouTube presence, which we've seen former Trump fallen Trumpies take that route and find success there. She could be positioning herself for a broader statewide run against multiple different levels of seats or work within the government. She could become a movement influencer rather than a legislator. She might feel that her lane is more in advocacy and equipping people with information they need as opposed to being at the table. And she could be attempting to rehabilitate her wild, wacky reputation for a later congressional comeback. I know to many people, Marjorie Taylor Greene was making a radical amount of sense lately, which seems striking to us because she has been such a lunatic, but do not lose sight of many of the insane, uneducated, ignorant, dangerous theories, philosophies, and ideologies that Marjorie Taylor Greene has parroted out over the last couple of years. I think, personally, it's twofold. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is completely disillusioned by the process of American politics after seeing it from the inside, especially coming in who's someone who really drank the Kool-Aid of belief that they were going to quote-unquote drain this swamp, and then realize, nope, it's just the same swamp with a different color logo over the top of it. And I think, secondarily, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been a forward-moving force in inciting so much violence and radicalized ideology against people in their communities, both the communities she serves and the communities that she has to serve as an elected representative. I think she got a taste back of that intense, politicized violence that she has herself been a part of inciting, and she could not hack it. This woman has been getting intense bomb threats, death threats, threats on her life, threats on her family's life for taking a stand in the ways that she did do. And I think she got one whiff of that in a post-Charlie Kirk political era and decided this is not worth my life nor the life of my family. But again, these are all just my opinions and my thoughts. We'll keep our eye on what's going on. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below.